Hello, everyone. Welcome back to She Runs Strong, powered by Coach Perry. Another Q&A session today, and we've got some awesome questions coming up. Things to do with running form, some injuries, marathon season, and how to tackle it, as well as some supplements and which are the best ones to use. Nicky, welcome back. Always good to have you here with me. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm doing well. Training hasn't been going so great, but I am overall doing well. We're in the height of summer in the UK here, and
Yes.
it feels like we've been in the height of summer for many, many months. It's been very, very warm this year. So yeah, I'm doing good. I'm enjoying summer. I've had busy weekends of weddings and um, just friends coming to stay and living life. But training
Good.
has suffered. How about you? How is life with you?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that because I feel the same way. Not so much, yeah, life is happening, but just to be honest, absolute pure winter laziness. It's,
Really?
it's been really really cold, and I am such a baby in the cold. So I wake up early in the morning, and then I'm like, oh no, I'm not running in this cold. And then I think, okay, I'll go run at like midday, and then you get in your work routine, and then you don't run, and then it's sun goes down earlier, and so no, it's been useless. And so I've done a few strength sessions, but very few
Well, that's
runs.
something. That's
Yeah,
something. Keeping some
it's
stuff going.
some
Well,
stuff going, but yeah,
you
yeah.
do have a goal coming up, though, don't you? So
I do, yes. I mean, I've got Valencia Marathon in December, and so I do need to get cracking. I mean, I've got a decent base to work off, but I mean, at one week and 1 or 2 bad weeks really isn't the end of the world. I'll get back on track. But yeah, I suppose it's just it's good to know that we all have these these
yeah.
moments where we're not
Do you
on top.
kind of crave the routine that's what I find is like I really want to get the routine back. I'm quite craving it, but I can't seem to quite manage it at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. We should be doing our own Q&As for each other. I think that's exactly it. Yeah, it's routine. And for me, it's the routine's out because of winter, because I'm a baby in the cold. So I don't want to get up and run early in the morning when I normally run. So yeah, but I'll start warming up now, August, September. So I'll get
I
back
was gonna
into it.
say, is it really that cold out there? And
It is. It is. It is. I know we have this constant debate, but in the mornings in Johannesburg and Pretoria, I mean, it's been like 1 to 2.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I was
that's
away
cool.
this weekend and it was -1. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's cold. Look, about midday the sun is out and it's lovely. So
Yeah.
but yes, the mornings are chilly. So but anyways, let's get cracking onto this week's episode of our Q&As. But before we do that, we released an episode 2 weeks ago with Nicky de Villiers. So there are double Nickies on the show, who's our resident dietitian here at Coach Perry. And we went into a little bit of a case study of my own
Yes.
muscle mass and how I'm doing everything right, but somehow still wasn't getting the numbers that I was looking for. And we just had some really, really cool positive comments from there. Some people have said, love the program, follow it consistently with strength training, and I watch the videos, including the food discussion. Really positive results. And that's from A Steph. And then another comment from YM6722. Great advice. I have a small appetite and I'm never hungry and have to make myself eat food to stay on top of my running. I have gotten better at it, but this is a great reminder to track during training. So if you guys haven't had a listen to that episode, just go back and have a listen. It's full of a lot of good tips, stuff that you think you're on top of and you're not. I am a little bit vulnerable in that episode, so go and have
Yes.
a listen. And then to boot there, Nikki spoke of an egg muffin recipe, which Nikki, I'm going to ask you not to give it away just yet, but you are going to share that recipe with us at the end of this episode. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I think a few folks asked about that, and actually I had some people even message me asking me about that recipe as well. So that's cool. I'll give that at the end after we've done our Q&As. Right,
Awesome.
let's get cracking. Let's dig into it. Okay, so let's go with the first one, Jill from Leeds in the UK. Right. She has been running for a few years now, but recently has been struggling with suspected shin splints. What can she do to get over this? And she has a marathon in 9 weeks. It might be about 8 weeks now, actually. So
Mm.
help, she says. Okay, Shona, fire away.
Yeah, so Joel, I mean, this is you've been running for a while. So very often shin splints. Well, let me just say this: shin splints is really an overuse injury, right? So that's how it gets defined. But because you've been running for a while, it could be that you've increased your training load perhaps too much for where you are. But very often we see that with a beginner runner. And so because, again, sorry, I've repeated myself, but because you've been running for a while, that's not something I would suspect with you. And so the first thing that comes to mind with me is have you changed your shoes recently? Because if you haven't, and if your shoes have actually done way too much mileage, that could be something that's affecting affecting your gait and affecting how you're landing, and could bring on suspected shin splints. Or if you have actually changed your shoes completely to something completely different, that could be an aspect. Don't want to write off training load. And so if you have, obviously you are in marathon training, so you are probably, are doing a lot of mileage, which is also, again, just make sure that your shoes haven't run their course, excuse the pun. But I do think that is something to consider. And then, so let's say you've looked at all of these factors, and something that you just, you haven't changed your shoes, your training load is, normal as you suspect. Something that we can look at doing is ensuring that we've got enough strength in the lower limb, and in particular using what we term foot core here at Coach Perry. So just making sure that you've got enough strength to sustain the training that you're doing, and the impact that your feet are and your shins are experiencing. Nicky, in your opinion, in your experience with your athletes, how do you deal with shin splints normally?
Yeah, I mean, it's a horrible injury to get, that one, and it can last for a long time, and be really frustrating. I think, often the physios, if you go to a physio, they will give you the quickest way to rehab it, because it very often comes from glutes and just your core strength as well. So it really depends why and where you've got it and how you've got it. I would check shoes first as well, because often having kind of old shoes really doesn't help. I would recommend a physio as soon as that's, especially with a marathon 8 weeks out or 8 weeks out, that's going to be your quickest route to getting, because ideally you probably want to rest for a little bit, and you're going to have to do a little bit of a phase in and back, because you can't suddenly keep with your high mileage. So you're going to have to take it back to some cross training, and the physio is going to help with that rehab exercises that you need to do, really, I think.
Yep, spot on. Yep, no, exactly. So I think the main thing here is to get that sorted now. You've got enough time to keep training for the marathon, but you want to be injury free for the rest of your training and to get you to the start line. So, yeah, getting to a physio, doing some rehab, some light foam rolling,
Yes.
and some calf on the calf, and it will help as well. But definitely have a look at those shoes. All right.
Yeah, strength training all round.
Yeah, definitely. Good
Well,
point.
good luck with it, Jill. I hope you get that sorted quite quickly. I would get to physio ASAP.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Next one up is Joanne from Durban in South Africa here. Joanne says, I've been running for 6 days per week for as long as I can remember, been struggling to improve of late, and I've been blaming menopause. I have been listening to She Runs Strong, and you keep mentioning that 4 days, maybe 5 days max. I should be running 4 days, maybe 5 days max. Could this be my issue? I'm just worried that I'll go backwards if I cut down. Nicky, your view there?
This is a really common question, and I think people who just love running just love to run all the time. And we do see it a lot from young and old, of folks who just want to run every day, all the time. And she says she's always been doing and has always done well from that. She hasn't mentioned whether she's done any strength training, and a lot of people just run and run and run without doing the strength training as well. And then eventually you do plateau, and it's difficult to get any further. And then as you do get a little bit older, you definitely need that little bit of rest. And with fluctuating hormones, all that sort of stuff that we talk about a lot. So I think reducing it down to, well, for 4 days for a wee while, it might be that she can then go up to sort of 5 again, but reducing it down to 4 days would definitely pay dividends. Focusing on real quality runs, so that nice long run at the weekend and a quality session, an interval session in the week, and then bringing in strength training as well. And then definitely, I mean, what it sounds like people who run 6 days a week, in my opinion, they are often the ones that just can't rest and they never take a rest day. So even on their rest day, they're still doing active recovery and calling that a rest. But if she could really rest for one full day, not get out her sports clothes at all, I think that would make such a difference. And taking it back to 4 days and adding in some strength training could really be the way forward for her. And then with the decent recovery as well, I think that will take her further forwards a little bit. I had a girl who I started coaching, I think it was last year, but taken into this year. So I maybe started in September of last year, and she always ran 6 days a week. And we did exactly that. We took her back to 4 days a week, popped in strength training, and she's done all PBs this year, from 5Ks up to half marathons.
Awesome.
Less running than she did
Yeah.
for the cycle from January to, what was it, May this year.
Yes.
So it's, as long as they're quality, as long as your strength is there and complementing, then I think it's going to pay you real dividends. Of course, when you get to ultras and some of the longer distances, perhaps popping up to 5 days might help, but as long as you are recovering from your sessions. You could add in strength training to that because there's less impact as well. So if you have
cross training,
sorry.
No.
Cross training, keep me right. You could add in one of those as well to take on to 50. But, that's
I agree with you there on the cross training, but because I think, like you say, a lot of times people who are running 6 days a week, a lot of people are doing this from a mental health perspective as well. They say, I've had people say that to me before, I have to run every day because it helps my mental health, but so then I think the cross training is an effective tool to say, okay, running every day isn't going to be beneficial for your 6 days a week. And so do the cross training so that you're still getting out there, you're still helping your mental health, but not necessarily having the load. And then just to reiterate what you're saying, Nikki, I think if people understand why we're telling them to take one of these runs away, we keep saying, I know rest is it's like a dirty word for runners, but when we're taking one of these runs away, what we're doing is we're giving you more recovery time. And when you're recovering, that's when you get the benefit. So if you just train and train and train and train, you're not going to get better. You're just actually going to dig yourself lower and lower. You have to give yourself that rest day or that recovery day to make sure that you're getting the benefits of all that exercise. The body then, resynthesizes and gets stronger. And because we're having, hormone imbalances and everything going a little bit haywire every now and then, we need a little bit of extra recovery time. And so,
when the magic happens, isn't it? On the rest day. It's actually, what do we think? Almost like the most important part of the week, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I try and tell my athletes to see their rest days as equally important as a running day, as a session, as you would your interval days or your long run. A rest day is as important. I mean, if not more important. But when you start seeing that as a session itself, I'm going to now do the best of my possibility or ability to rest as hard as I can. We're a competitive bunch, us runners, so let's make that a competition as well. So. And of course, some light movements on that day, some light mobility. We're not saying you must be glued to the couch, but just don't do something that is, the same as running. So not like an aerobic sort of aspect or strength aspect. But
yeah. And I think, Joanne, you will find it makes quite a difference.
Yeah.
Because really, with 6 days, there's very little that you gain on that 6th day, really. So really adding in that rest day and doing something else and something different is a good mental rest as well.
Yep. Yeah. So. Joanne, try it. As Nikki says, I think you'll feel the difference quite soon on. And let us know if you feel that it's worked for you or not. But yes.
Yeah.
All right. This is a good one, Nikki. This is someone that you got the question from, actually. It's Lisa from Detroit. And I like this question because I know there are many, many runners out there who are going to be battling the same thing. So Lisa from Detroit saying, I'm currently training for New York Marathon 2025 on the road to my 6 stars. I'm planning to do Cape Town Marathon in May next year, 2026. But the spanner in the works is that I also have been offered an entry to Tokyo in March 2026. Can I do them all? If you want to recover from sessions faster, not feel tired all the time, run pain and injury free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join me in my upcoming training specifically for female runners over the age of 45. In it, I'll share with you my simple 5-step framework that'll transform your running. Simply scan the QR code on screen now or click on the link in the description to save your seats in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
Cool. So Lisa is a one-to-one client of mine, and she had asked me, could she do this? And I thought I'd throw this question in, as you say, because we have a lot of people who do this type of thing. And, you know, I'm of this ilk as well, that this would really appeal to me. I would love to do all of these if I had the opportunity and got places for them. So what I've said to Lisa is this, right? Okay, so that is a real push. She's 65. I hope she doesn't mind me saying that. So she's a bit older. She's a good runner. She's fast for her age. And the New York Marathon is an age group invitee marathon. So she's been invited along to that one to run in the age groups. And then she's got the other places. So New York is definitely a goal race. So we are going to tackle it like a goal race. And I have made her promise that she will take 2 weeks off after that before we then go into a kind of maintenance program for Tokyo. And we will then kind of almost tick along to Tokyo with a view to just completion, but not a time goal. Whether she can actually do that, I'm not sure, but that is the aim, with then looking at Cape Town, which might then become, I mean, I was out at Cape Town Marathon last year. It's not the easiest of marathons or the fastest of marathons. Neither is New York, actually. But I think she might then have a time goal. So it's doable. But what we're doing is factoring in a lot of rest after New York, then to go to not an aggressive marathon plan leading into Tokyo. And then hopefully that will just carry her through to Cape Town. And that's the general plan.
I like that. I like that a lot. If it was me and I got a Tokyo entry, I would be asking my coach the same thing. And so because Tokyo, I mean, most of these marathons are so hard to get into, you know, especially Tokyo. So yeah, I suppose you know, that's the thing, is that it's never ideal, but you know, there are ways to work around these. And yeah, between obviously New York to Tokyo, that's a good 5 months, or 4.5 months. And then, yeah, so that's doable. And then obviously between Tokyo and Cape Town is 2 months. So that is tight. And so really the recovery between those two is quite key, right?
So almost we're treating Tokyo like a long run. Right. I would love her to run it at a bit of an easier pace. I know she probably won't.
Right.
So I'm already on that, and I will factor in the rest for her afterwards. And she has promised she will rest and recover as and when I pop it in, which she's not good at all. Yeah, I know. But then I can see, you know, as marathon, I love marathons. You know, given that opportunity, you just wouldn't want to turn it down at all, because you just don't know when it comes back up again. So it is really important. And that's the other thing. We need to get her there injury free. So it's really, really important. So we have, even with New York, it's a slightly calmer plan to make sure that she does get there in one piece. And then, like I say, she's recovered. She's promised me that she'll take 2 weeks off afterwards to recover. She didn't take 2 weeks off after the last marathon. I really tried hard to, but she's promised me this time she will. So yeah, we'll see how we go with this, because they're very expensive to travel to as well.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So you want to make the most of it, and you want to get there injury free. You don't want to pay all that money and then not be able to do it. And again, you know, no, I sound like the recovery police here in this episode, but the reason you're being so strict about that recovery after the marathon isn't because you just want to be strict about it. You know, it's because there's a reason. Because if you carry that whole cycle of marathon training and marathon racing into your next training cycle, you're just at risk of more injury. And so yeah, again, that's just so our listeners understand. That's why we harp on about this recovery aspect so much, because we want you to run and train injury free, because that's where you win, really. So
I know. And then on top of that, just, I mean, to be clear, we wouldn't necessarily recommend 3 marathons so close together. And I think if you're really goal focused and you're all about times and PBs, it isn't the ideal. But if you're about just ticking the box, then it's doable. You just have to focus on the recovery.
Yep, and plan. Yep,
It's going to be
definitely.
an
So yeah,
exciting year
yep.
for her, though.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's amazing, and especially if Cape Town does become, actually finally gets that world marathon status, which would then be May next year. So yeah, so that will
Yeah,
be
it'll be
exciting
awesome.
for her.
It will be.
Yeah, so let's see. All right, you can keep us in the loop there, Nikki, on that.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do. Well, maybe we'll get
Uh,
her sometime.
Oh, yes, excellent. That'd be great.
Yes.
I'd love that. Yeah, she can tell us about how she succeeded in all 3 marathons thanks to Nikki's training. So, brilliant. Let's go on to the next one, which is Tracy from California. I know we've had similar questions like this in the past, Nikki, but I think this comes up often, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Tracy's asking, what are some things that we can do to improve running technique or form or running economy? Yeah, what are your takes from that question? Because it comes up often, this.
It does come up often, and folks ask a lot. I know I get this at my run groups and track groups, and look, when you get a bit older, your body tends to be already pre-programmed, and you've programmed it over many, many years of how to run, how to walk. Your mind muscle sort of movements are already there. So, Tracy, if you're looking to change things about your running technique and form, it's going to take some real perseverance and time. The first thing I would do with something like that is, if you don't have access to a running coach, is I would just get a friend to film you, maybe running. And you can take a lot from just watching yourself on video, or if you can get a coach to watch you on video, that would really help too. And you can just see if your shoulders are rounded, if you're standing upright. You'll be able to see very quickly. We all do it when we see running photos. We go, oh my gosh, my head,
Yeah.
or, oh my shoulders,
Yes.
oh my, you can spot it straight away. I mean, a coach will really help to identify that maybe it's your foot placement, and that's why
Mm,
something else is out of kilter, because everything is aligned together, but you'll be able to see it yourself.
mm,
So that's the first thing to do, is take a wee look at that. And then, and I would say getting a coach to do that will really, really help, because they'll give you the drills to then work on how to maybe lift your hips up a little bit higher or bring your shoulders back together.
mm,
But a lot of these little tweaks in your body come from strength. And so they will probably direct you back into the gym to build strength. Like if your shoulders are coming forward, they'll probably direct you into face pulls in
mm.
the gym, for example. So video yourself, take a wee look, get someone to have a look at that, get them to assess and maybe give you some drills. The other thing that works quite nicely, and my favorite, is hill reps. So you naturally get a better form if you're doing faster running up hills. So if you can, and you've done the video and you've had a wee look at that, then try out some hill reps as well, because that naturally puts you into quite a good position, because you have to run quite high and quite tall to get yourself up the hills. So if you can add on some hill reps each week, just little ones like 30 seconds, 5 by 30 seconds, going up a fairly steep hill, that will help just rise you up and build your running economy a little bit
Mhm.
more. You'll work on your knee drive a little bit more. You'll plant your feet under your hips in a better position, and you'll just gain strength through your legs. So that's another nice way just to help your technique too. And those are
Yeah.
quite easy things to start with, I would say.
Yeah, I like that, Nikki. I think the question comes up so often because I think runners, as they are fatiguing, they feel that their whole running form
Yes,
changes, and that's why they're often asking. And so your
definitely.
your answer around strength really, really, I'm so glad you said it, and I don't sound like the broken record as always. But it is really key because you can go through changing your gait and your posture and all of those things, but we're always going to default back to how we are when we get tired. And so strength training is so key for that. And maybe just on the strength works things, if just let me dive into a little bit of that. I think you mentioned one of them already. So I think postural aspects, so a lot of, like you said, the face pulls, the shoulder sort of rhomboids work, making those shoulders come back. Because not
Yep.
only are we, if we run like this, we are also in this position with our phones all the time,
Yes,
on the computer. So just anyways, that's just good for posture, so that's obviously some core stuff is always important.
definitely.
But I would say glute work,
Yep.
because it helps with the drive, and then your hip flexors. So if your hip flexors are tight from sitting all day, if you sit at a computer all day, loosen those hip flexors and get them strong. That will definitely make it a big difference. Just those few things will make it a big difference to running technique. Not necessarily, I mean, in the long run, you'll get stronger as a runner, but just for the technique and the postural aspects, those are some good exercises to focus on.
Yeah. And I think you'll have to, you have to take the time to practice. So you have to put aside each week, every week, that time to practice those things, plus going to the gym and and it's about that mind muscle. I have a new client that I've been coaching recently. He's an 82-year-old and he wants to learn to sprint. And most of the track work we're doing is about slowing it all down and getting that mind muscle connection so that it's connecting in. So he's lovely and tall. So he's got his knee drive and everything. And it takes a while. And I think he's frustrated. He wants to sprint. And we do sprint a bit, but it's just slowing it down, strengthening it all, making sure you're lovely and mobile. And
Yes.
I mean, so often that adults just go out the door and they just run. And, they just blows my mind when kids warm up for half an hour and adults just think they can
Get out the door. Yeah.
yeah, so your warm up, your mobility, and all those things are the things that help with your posture and your run technique. They just help keep you straighter and taller, and help you run and your strength.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Good.
that's a good one. Right,
Yeah.
okay. Next question. Debbie from Boston. If you had to choose one supplement between creatine and whey protein, which one would you choose? Ooh, right. Okay, Shona. So let's go. Brief description of creatine and a brief whey protein, and which would you choose?
So creatine monohydrate, very good for, well, as written in the literature, very good for recovery, very good for helping with resynthesis of the muscles. And in the past was known as a bodybuilding kind of supplement,
Yeah.
but as we've developed over time, we realize that it's actually really, really good from an all-round endurance athlete recovery. Latest research is coming out saying a lot of cognitive benefits as well. And so creatine is a big craze at the moment. And if you are on social media, you'll see every single influencer trying to sell you creatine. I mean, there's even, sorry, I know this isn't the question, but there's even one where I've seen where it's creatine, where they are now focusing that female creatine, which is absolute nonsense. Okay,
So what are they saying it's?
They're saying it's creatine focused on for a creatine made especially for women. But I mean, a creatine is creatine, so there's nothing different. So that's a whole
It's just in a pink bottle, is it?
Probably that's it, and it probably costs way more than normal creatine. Yeah, it probably does, Nikki. I mean, this is what we call, I don't know, in South Africa we call it pink tax. Where you make it pink and you add on extra money because it's for females. So, anyways, I've gone down a whole rabbit hole there, but just as a sideline, okay. So creatine is very popular at the moment, but it has a lot of literature and scientific evidence to sustain the benefits that it has. Whey protein is used, which is very often comes from a leucine source of protein. So it's an animal source of protein, which is where the whey comes from. And we utilize that to ensure that we're getting enough protein in the day. Very often has more amino acids to help with protein or muscle resynthesis thereafter. So both have that recovery aspect. If you ask me A, creatine, B, protein, I would go for lucky answer number C. And I would say make sure that you are getting in whole foods first and that you're getting in enough food first. So trick question here, really. But yes, so yes, I do think they are both good. But we want to first make sure that we're getting in enough food throughout the day. I mean, if you go back and listen to that episode we did with Nikki, that'll be a big thing. We do want to get whole foods in first. You don't want to just have supplements and not be eating the right sort of. But if you had to ask me if I literally had to put my head on a block and say creatine or whey protein, I like both, but I would probably opt for creatine, just because of the amount of scientific evidence it has behind it. It has that aspect of recovery, the studies around cognitive benefits and function, and then I would just try and ensure that I'm getting in enough protein within my diet overall. So that would be mine. But one of the big things that I have started to change, obviously I'm making a lot of changes, and I'll be mentioning this in the pod since that podcast with Nikki 2 weeks ago, is just obviously eating more, but having a source of protein at night. And good old school, it reminds me of my mom actually, but I'm actually just having like a cup of warm milk with a tiny little bit of honey in it. And so yeah, just to have a little bit of protein at night. And so then there we go. Then I'm having my creatine in the morning, getting a little bit of extra protein at night. Yeah, so that would be my answer. But what about you, Nikki? Creatine or whey protein? I know you've dabbled with both as well.
Well, I would probably go down the creatine route in the hope that I can get enough protein eaten during the day.
During the day, yeah.
I think I would, yeah, I mean, I really have quite a big push on at the moment to eat quite a lot of protein. And what I've been doing recently, actually, is meal prepping on Sundays. And
Excellent.
so I have often been not so much my teas because I cook tea or supper for the family, but lunch, I generally sort of prep something that is really high in protein. And also, we're coming back to my egg muffin. I
Excellent.
make my egg muffins and they are really high in protein. And so they are a real win-win. So they are, as you'd expect, in a muffin tin with eggs. I scramble up some eggs. I fry off some onions with peppers and I add them to the egg mixture. And then I add some grated cheese as well. So you've got a bit more protein there. I make sure the muffin tin's lovely and hot. I pour the mixture in. So my muffin tin makes 12 muffins, so I use between 10 or 12 eggs. I do add about half a cup of milk as well, so you've got
Okay.
more in there as well. And so that roughly about 10 eggs, half a cup of milk, grated cheese, 1 onion, peppers, that all makes enough for 12 tin of muffins. I then pop a bit of grated cheese on all the top of the muffins as well.
Mm,
Bake. Now, this is the interesting thing. I bake for a different time all the time. So I've baked for about 10 minutes at about 180 degrees, and that tends to make them more like souffles.
okay.
But then I quite like them quite baked. So sometimes I leave them for about 15, 20. So it really depends how you like your eggs,
Okay.
whether you like them kind of soft or not. But they are brilliant. And then they will last for about 2 to 3 days if you don't have kids in the house. So you can just let them cool and pop them in some Tupperware or glass dish, and then you can just heat them up the next day. But 2 of those will roughly be about 2 eggs worth, I suppose, with the cheese
Okay.
as well. So they're
Mm.
quite a good one to do. So
That's
they work a treat.
that's very cool. I mean, it sounds easy. I always say this, and I always
It's easy.
struggle.
Honestly, it's
No,
ridiculously easy
no,
to
Nikki,
make.
but trust me, I mess up the most basic of recipes. Now the thing is, I don't have an oven, so yeah, no, I just have an air fryer. So I will have to find that recipe to do
Oh,
it in an air fryer somehow. Then
I'm not so great with air fryers, but I think that would probably be quite easy to pop. I don't
yeah,
know.
let me look it up because that does sound very very cool. Yeah, if I could pre-make that, maybe I can just ask someone else. I'll just pawn it. I'll outsource it to a friend. And then I'll
So that's it.
um,
So on Sundays, I tend to make those, which are my easy go-to breakfasts, and and then I tend to make some sort of chicken and veg dish for lunches. And so if I've got my breakfast and my lunch already covered with my protein, then I can be a bit more fluid in the evenings and do what the family fancies. And
oh,
then,
that's very
of course, with the good snacks. If you can't do that, then Shona, boiled eggs.
I know that is my next that's my next thing. At the moment, just linking back to this question. So what I'm doing is I'm having an oats or a porridge in the morning that I'm just sprinkling my creatine on.
Okay,
So that I'm making sure that I'm getting it in because it's winter here. So I like a warm breakfast. Come
yeah.
summer, I'll go back to making like using my NutriBullet and making I normally do spinach, egg, a bit of yogurt,
Raw
and
egg.
like yeah, just raw egg into the smoothie, a bit of peanut butter and a spoon. You don't taste it, Nikki. You don't like you literally don't taste it. Banana and maybe half a spoon of peanut butter. So it's really
This
the
is
banana spinach. No, I'm gonna make it for you. I promise. You don't taste that
I'm
raw egg.
okay. Sha.
You should try it. I promise you. Don't taste it, and then yeah, and then I would normally put my creatine in that. So just to make sure that I'm getting that in because I
Yeah, okay.
struggle eating as it is. But yeah, I think that definitely helps. And then again, why does it need to be either or unless it's a a resource problem, in terms of which one, because neither of these are cheap. But I would, have the creatine in the morning, and then if you do use the whey protein, I would use that after your strength sessions. So after your strength sessions, to really ensure that you're getting that
Yeah.
little bit extra protein in on those days. That would be the ideal, I would guess. But
Yeah.
yes,
I mean, that's it. Both are good. So
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Excellent. All right. Well, that was great. Well, good stuff. Excellent. So if you have any good protein recipes for breakfast or for lunch, maybe pop them down in the comments below. We'd love to hear from them, and we'll put them out in one of the other pods in the future. Otherwise, thank you very much, Shona, for your time, and we will see you next week. Cheers.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.